All right, so welcome everybody. Thank you all for being part of Design Buddies. We really appreciate it. And I created Design Buddies back in April 2020, and I've seen it grow to 7,200 people since then. It's been super exciting, me coming from an underdog in design, creating Design Buddies. And so for those of you who are new to Design Buddies, we are an inclusive design community of all designers from all levels. We have a lot of free events, free resources. We recently partnered with Amazing Design People List for a mentorship program, so we have more on there as well. We also have a lot of networking opportunities, and all for free as well. And feel free to meet each other during the events, with the networking sheet as well. And with that said, we're really excited to welcome our guest Anfisa for today for dive into UX design. Anfisa has experienced freelancing as a UX designer, teaching UX fundamentals to over 650 students and building startup products. And currently, she works at Citrix as a senior UX designer, and she also runs one of the largest design Instagrams, so definitely follow her on Instagram as well. Yeah, so we'll get started with the questions.
Yay! Just
Yeah,
want me to say
super
hello,
excited.
everyone.
Yeah, hello. Type hype in the chat if you guys are hyped up and really excited.
Yay!
Yay! Cool.
I'm
hype.
hyped.
Yeah.
Even though it's already like 8 p.m. at our time. I'm like, I don't drink coffee, but I'm on a caffeine drink, sort of. It's like kind of club mate stuff. So
Awesome.
I hope I'll have enough energy.
Yeah, feel free to chat. Let us know what drink you like to drink the most. Like, what kind of are you a coffee and tea person as well?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, cool. So we'll get started. So first of our section will cover UX design, upward mobility, and then we'll have a design section, and then we'll be taking questions throughout the chat with our helpful moderators. Our fellow design buddies, admins, Nadia, Sarah, and Ivy will be help collecting questions on the Google Doc. So feel free to chime in with any questions you have in the chat as well. So our first question is, how did you get into UX design, and how did you know that this was the right career for you?
Okay, I'll try to be brief because the story is long, but if I'll try to be brief, basically it was accident. My background was interior designer, and when I finished my bachelor degree, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and take masters in product design. And my assumption was that product design is something like industrial design, product, furniture, stuff like that. So accidentally, I enrolled into the program calling product design, and it was in Estonia. I'm originally from Ukraine, and our mindset usually, at least 10 years ago, it was like, we do a lot of beautiful and crafty stuff, and then we figure out why we did that. So when I moved to Estonia, it's a Nordic IT country, super IT nerdy country. And when I moved there and I started studying there as a product designer, we started to do a lot of those research, talking to businesses, understanding strategy. And for me, it was like, what? So I was like completely, not to say blindsided, but surprised about what is going on. I was assuming we're going to start, building beautiful products. That was not the case. Long story short, 10 years later, I'm still really happy that it happened to me, because back then I just figured out absolutely new reality, new mindset. And I just understood that the things I was doing before was not done in the right way, basically. It was really nice. It was a nice experience. It helped me to build sort of creative confidence, but not understand what products are right? How to build the right products, basically. And then, Estonia is a very IT country. Every second person has IT startup. The network is huge there. Everybody's very pragmatic about their time and building products. So slowly with hackathons, with different events, I started building the network and get first freelance clients. So this is how it all started. I was trying to be brief. It's a long story, actually.
No worries. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
How do you think you've developed and grown as a designer? And is there anything you would attribute the large growth to?
So it's still part of a long journey. It's not something that you can, achieve, check mark, done. It's like a continuous journey. And I don't know, it's been for me, not 10 years yet, even it's around 9 years, 10 years, or 9 years basically. And it's still every single day I learn something. It's impossible to say that, okay, now I know it. um, it's just like the process is very complex. The whole UX industry right now is super multifaceted, interconnected, and so many things in so many directions you can take and decide where do you want to go further. And you still, like, as a curious person, you want to continuous learn and learn new things, new skills, etc., etc. So for me in the beginning, for sure, in the beginning it was like, okay, here's this thing called UX. I have no clue what it is, but I'm curious. And in the beginning, it was just passive learning, you know, like simple, some online courses. In Udemy, there was like 1 or 2 courses, like John Natalie and stuff. Then there were books, there were Medium articles starting to pop up in the internet space. In the beginning, I was just very passive. And of course, I was very not confident myself. So that was like a first thing, just trying to understand, scratching the surface, what is this whole thing about? And of course, I had my master, which was, I wouldn't say it was super productive to me, because, you know, when teachers teach you something, you're like, I don't understand. Maybe it's boring. Maybe I don't get it in the moment. Maybe my mindset is not shaped yet. So back then, it was like a combination of different things, but I was still not quite there yet. But then I think, well, hackathons helped me a lot, because I was basically in one weekend. When you join the hackathon, you're put in this position when you have people working with you for 48 hours and you build a product. And you're like, what? In 48 hours, you build a product and all of those people collaborate with you, and there's so many ideas and such a great energy. So that was the first thing that helped me understanding what is going on and how do you build products, basically. Second thing was, of course, taking those products and maybe starting building your startups yourself. So with the team you meet or people you meet in those hackathons, I started trying, like, very first and very, like, I would say, not confident and even blind attempt to build something real. Second part was taking an internship, which helped me a lot, really a lot. And I was applying particular to the company I was admiring. I was like looking to them with like huge Shrek cat eyes, you know, like, wow, this is the company I would try and dream working at. So I was applying there. I get an internship. I started working with them. That helped me a lot. And then a third component that helped me immensely, and I think like not many people would think of it, but the third component helped me a lot, was actually start teaching design. Like only after 2 years after my like kind of journey, I got this opportunity to go in Georgia and start teaching it. And for me, it was like, why would I go? I'm complete imposter. I know nothing. But somehow the opportunity popped in. I was like, okay, it's too good of an opportunity. I should take it. And I went there. I was completely not confident in myself. And when I went through this experience, kind of teaching, preparing lessons, give lectures for 3 hours every second day. After that, I finally had this complete kind of understanding, what am I doing? And everything in my head just clicked. I have this kind of full picture. Everything is in its order in the shelves in my head. So there are 3 main components, basically, right? Doing by practicing, doing internship, learning from mentors, and then actually talking about it. So you can really put it all in a clear, in a like kind of in an order in your head and have clear structure and understanding. Okay, I know it's a long answer. So
That's awesome. I definitely feel like teaching is definitely the best way to learn something, because that's how you know that you really master the
100%.
concept. Yeah. And with that leads into our next question. In your experience of coaching UX designers, what do you see like people struggle most when transitioning, and what are some of your tips of overcoming these challenges?
Yeah. So again, right now, I would just still come back to the same question, or not even question, but the same point. In the beginning, many people, and maybe it depends on the personality as well, but many people have this horrible imposter syndrome. Like, who am I? Why should I do this? Why would somebody hire me? Why would somebody want to have me? I don't have experience. I don't have portfolio. I don't know what's the process. And all of those fears that stop you, that block you from action, from trying to be proactive, from trying to fail fast, from trying to just do it, even though you know it's not going to be good in the beginning, even though you know that, especially we creative people, we have a lot of those insecurities, thinking that if we put out there our design, somebody will hate it, somebody, it's not going to be working, or it's not going to be beautiful, or whatever, and we have those fears building up, and if you don't put it out there, you start kind of piling up yourself with those fears. So I guess my biggest tip or recommendation would be just to like close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just put it out there. Don't be afraid. And even if people hate it, look for negativity, look for criticism, look for those things, because if you, as soon as you figure it out, as soon as you get all this criticism, as soon as you get this feedback, that will not be good in the beginning. It's fine. Like, you just overcome it, and you start understanding it much, much better. If you never take this feedback, and if you kind of just close yourself in your own bubble and just like sort of like avoid this real world, you with years build up this very close-minded kind of personality. And really, trust me, people don't want to work with those people in the future. Even if you have like 5 years of experience and you still is not able to take the feedback and to learn and to grow and to overcome those fears, it's very hard to work with you. It's very hard to cooperate with you, find compromises. So it's just like, it's about embracing criticism in the beginning. It's about failing fast. It's about figuring it out. And my ultimate bottom line tip would be just to be proactive and not be afraid. So it takes courage in the beginning, but you should just do it. Forget about, like, again, embrace it. I know it sounds bad, like hard, but it's something that we all have to overcome. And people will admire you if you're not afraid and open to take this creative, like negative feedback, I guess, criticism. Anyways,
That's
moving
awesome.
forward.
Yeah, like what Jean said in the chat, feedback is definitely a gift because it helps you improve. With that being said, we're moving on to your next question. Like, kind of looking back, when you were a junior designer, did you have a vision of where you wanted to be in 5 years? If so,
Yeah.
how has your vision been fulfilled or changed?
Yeah, it's a great question. When I started, somehow I had like two components. One is this horrible imposter syndrome. Second is I want to be the best. I want to be the best at this. I'm going to do everything possible and impossible to just learn it and figure it out. So my dream was to, I wanted to live in Australia for some reason. I don't remember anymore why, but I had this dream. I want to live in Australia. And to get there, I need to be the best designer. So I was literally just, I guess I have this vision that I need to be there. I need to be so good that people will start inviting me to those different companies. And I'm from Ukraine. So in Ukraine, it's like your passport is not visa friendly, basically. To go somewhere, it's very hard to get visa or get work permit or something like that. So I was thinking I need to really work hard to kind of get an opportunity in the countries I want to be at. For example, for me, it was in Australia. Right now, I don't want to be, but like back then, it was like my dream. And that was like a dream that was pushing me forward constantly. So I was like driven. And okay, 5 years later, of course, I didn't, I think I gained the experience, I gained the confidence. I think I know my value. I knew my value even 5 years later, but things definitely changed along the way, and definitely some parts of my career and experience shaped me as a different person. So of course my dreams changed, but having that dream really helped me to kind of striving and constantly moving forward and really being driven to learn, to try, to work forever or whatever, like just gain that experience as soon as possible, by doing absolutely different types of projects. So yeah, it changed, but it was definitely great to have that dream in my hand. And I think ultimately my journey changed through this teaching experience, to be honest, because when I had this opportunity to teach, I figured out that it's like a huge blessing to just not just, to teach us. Again, it's, first of all, when you teach somebody, you teach yourself. Secondly, you get instant feedback. You understand, you start understanding things much better. You have the instant connection, instant feedback. You have relationship with these people. You see they are growing, you're growing. And it's like this, it's very grateful thing to do. And after that first opportunity, I was also teaching in some other countries. I was in China, and I was then teaching in one Latin American course. And now I'm doing this, my online course. And basically this whole thing really shaped me. I was still working, I was still doing startups, and then I was working, I'm right now working in bigger companies. But throughout this whole path, teaching was something that actually affected me, and I understood the value of it. And I understood that I want not to just practice it, but also share it with everybody. So that is how it all sort of went along.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Anfisa also has a lot of a lot of resources on her Instagram as well. And yeah, I definitely think teaching is a great way to learn. And so our next question is, what if anything, kind of coming from, kind of reflecting on your own experience and your experience teaching, what separates senior and junior designers? And are there any tangible anecdotes of difference in frameworks of thinking?
I think ultimately it's okay. So when you are a fresh graduate from whatever bootcamp courses, maybe self-learning path, whatever path you took to kind of gain some understanding. So when you're just, I guess, let's say, graduate from your courses, you have a very linear understanding of the process. You have I guess you basically in your head, you would have some sort of a toolbox, toolbox of like things you can do, but you're still not confident in applying them. You don't really know how exactly would you use it in different contexts, in different situations, different projects, how agile you would be knowing this linear path. So you have some understanding, but you still don't have all the answers. And to get there, to be able to be this universal designer, being able to kind of work and make efficient decisions in any project, it takes this kind of experience to be agile, to figure out, to adapt, to be flexible, to make smart decisions in different contexts. So when you're a beginner, you do more, I guess, you try more, you fail more, but when you have this experience behind you, you start understanding what's the shortcut to get there. What's the best way to get to the results? You already have a good understanding, and you have a good picture of the process, which processes would fit better in different projects. Who are you working with? How to approach this problem? How to approach this team? Like how to work with this team? What tools would you use? Do you use workshops? Do you use design thinking? Do you use maybe just a typical double diamond process? You kind of fit in the process, and you understand what's going on better. You understand the whole picture, and you know how to get to the final result much faster, more efficiently, with less losses, time spent, and money, of course. So I guess that's the difference. It's some sort of confidence in the process and ability to make decisions, not in a linear way, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many resources on the internet. I definitely feel like from my personal experience, it just comes with practice to see which processes work the best with different projects. So really encourage everyone to just keep practicing and try to teach other people as well to learn design.
Agree.
But that said, yeah. Our next question is, what have you done that has helped you in your career that gave you like an unexpected leg up, if there was anything? And is there anything you wish you would do differently?
Can you, I didn't hear the question. Can you please repeat? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. What is something you have done in your career that kind of gave you like an advantage or like a leg up? Or is that like, is there anything you also wish you would have done differently in your career?
Okay. Advantage for sure, I guess. As I said, like I had this opportunity for teaching, and again, it was hard. When I started doing it, I wasn't sure why would somebody listen to me? Who am I even? And I was teaching to the people who were like older than me, having more experiences, but just in different industries maybe. So I had this privilege to teach, and I was really lucky because the country when I was teaching, people were very open and nice. And even if I was in the beginning doing it clumsy and not being able to express myself very clearly, people were still supportive. So I had this privilege, and it really helped me to build the confidence. That's the first thing. Again, I think somehow interestingly, but when I started, I was doing Instagram from 2016, and in the beginning it was not very active. But I think I read the book called "Show Your Work" by Austin Kleon, and in his book, I think I got it from. Okay, so it's a long story, but my internship, the guys, when I did this internship in the company I was working at, when I was finishing it, they gave me the book like a present. It's called "Show Your Work" by Austin Kleon. I was like, okay, what's this book? Let's try to read it. I finished the book. I was completely like inspired because the guy, like the author, shared an idea that you should start collecting bits of your work instantly. It's not about like perfectly designed projects. It's not about perfect pixels. It's really about starting building your own library, some sort of, how do you call it? What's the word? Document your journey, every single step. It doesn't need to be perfect, just start documenting. It's for yourself, for your reflection, for documenting what your values are, what your processes, what you learn. It's really about being transparent about who you are, what you do, what you understand, what's your values. And I was like really clicking with this idea. So then I started this Instagram pretty early on in 2016. There was not so many designers. And I think I was one of these first design accounts who started just documenting the journey without any expectation, without expectation to grow it or whatever. It was just the first, like I started first on Tumblr. It was not engaging, then Instagram, clicking better. So I started promoting it more on Instagram. And then basically only on Instagram, I started receiving more of this engagement. People would start talking to me, and after a while, I realized that I take again, it's the same kind of value that I get from it. I start sharing, and to share it, I need to reflect, I need to learn something. So I start sharing, I receive the feedback, it's engaging and blah, blah, blah. And it's really like, it's a lot of studies as well, because when you share something, you share what you understood, what you've kind of proceeded in your head. So it's another thing that helped me a lot. And if I try to think, if I do something differently, let me think. I think, for example, I was also doing a lot of startups, and my mistake that I think I did, even though it's good that I did it, I've learned a lot, but one mistake I think I did it is that I was investing in the projects I knew not gonna work out. So let's say you started working with somebody, with developer, with a teammate, whoever it is, marketer, whatever. You start work with them, and you know that there's like something doesn't click. Either the business model doesn't click, either the teamwork doesn't click. Especially the teamwork, it's very important who you work with, especially if it's a small company. Or you don't understand each other very well, or you don't trust this person very well, or you start working on it, but you see that the quality and the process is something is not working. You can try to work it out, but if you don't have the trustworthy relationship with the people you're working in, then everything starts falling apart. And you can try to keep it up, and you still learn a lot. So it's not that I regret it, but you knew from the beginning that it's not going to work out. So if I could do something differently, I would probably try to let go the projects, experiences, or whatever, those startups I was building faster, and not invest more in time in it. Because even though I learned something, I knew I could learn more if I would be in the right team, in the right company. Especially like people is the core component to learn. So it's really important to work with somebody you can learn from. Yeah, so that's one thing I would definitely do differently. Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. I also noticed a lot of people going to design, they just take on any project, but there's no shortage of opportunities out there as well. So definitely agree. Don't work on projects that you don't see it actually working out. And yeah, so with that being said, we're going to your next question. So what are the skills you found hard to learn at first when getting into UX design? Because oftentimes, especially in a chat and me as well, we feel pretty overwhelmed with the amount of resources on the internet.
Skills. Well, I don't really know. It's hard to say, honestly. Let me think. This is a challenging question to me. I don't really know. I think it's not really just a skill. It's this process, because I think the process is very wicked and very complicated. And I think, yeah, in the beginning, I didn't get a lot of parts. I didn't know why things, like, why would you do the personas? What's the point of personas? Aren't they just like references? Why would you do the persona? So it's just sometimes you don't really know why would you do them, but you still keep doing them because everybody else do this. So that was like a challenging part for me. And only again with teaching and with talking and thinking through it much more and applying it and tweaking it for yourself, for your own process, only like then I start getting the value of it. But if you just follow this like textbook, how it is written there, you do persona here, you write motivation here, you write fear here, here you go, it's not really helpful. So some things I need to question. And if I would question more of those steps and develop that critical mindset earlier, I guess, that will help me again to progress faster. Just again, when somebody tells you, you do personas or you do customer journeys, don't just accept it as, by default. Question it, discuss it. Why would I do this? And even sometimes when the people who tell you, you need to do the personas, whatever, whoever tells you that, you still need to question why and ask them 10 times or 5 times, whatever, why would we need to do the personas? And sometimes those people who tell you, they also start thinking farther, like, maybe in this process you don't do this, but maybe in this process you do this. And you start just analyzing it more in depth, thinking about different contexts, values it could bring and stuff like that. So going deeper and developing this critical mindset, question everything, that would help you a lot to adjust and build this, I guess, some sort of soft skill, but also like flexibility and agility in any project. Because again, if you're just like linear designer who knows the process but doesn't question it and just follows it, it's not always helpful. You never know what project you get tomorrow, and UX projects are always different and always challenging, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Questioning is such an important skill that I've learned in my everyday life as well outside of design. So question everything in life as well. Great life skill too. So we're going to move on to our last question for the learning design piece. And then we're later going to next move on to our design portion. So as a beginner, what is the biggest, like, what is one piece of advice you would ask someone who wants to go into UX design?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you again for some reason.
Oh, yeah. What is one piece of advice you would want to give someone starting in UX design?
I think I would just sum it up from what we just discussed, everything. So it's not even one piece of advice. It's like a like a list of advices. So be proactive, fail fast, question everything, try different things, practice, learn but practice as well constantly. And I think if you're being brave and critical and still very proactive and curious, you'll definitely be good. You'll be growing fast.
Yeah, definitely question everything as well. So moving to our design portion, how does your day as a senior UX designer look like, and what do you enjoy the most?
Okay. So I started in this new company. I've started working in the company called Citrix only 4 months ago, about that. So it's a still fresh start for me in this company. I'm still figuring out a lot of things. So, and especially the fact that I've started it during the pandemic period, it affects a lot the process. Because if I would be like in the office, I would spend more time talking to people, because for us in our company, design is like a shared service among different teams. And the product I'm working on is crazy. It's super complex. It's very technical. Anyways, so in the beginning, I would spend more time talking to people, moving, being cross-functional, basically. Right now, it's a little bit different for me because actually the first months when I've started, I was doing a lot of online calls with just different people, trying to understand what they're doing, trying to understand the product, trying to figure it all out. And then basically by this moment right now, I'm still figuring it out, but my daily life works like my typical day would work something like I'm working with US companies, so most of our meetings are happening in the second part of the day. I'm in Europe, in Prague, so our days in the morning, it's kind of free. So most of the work I would do in the morning, I will have to do in the morning at least. Then after, let's say 2 p.m., we have meetings with US. We have a lot of different meetings starting from some sort of like cross-functional things. We would have meetings with designers, feedback sessions. We would have meetings with managers and stuff like that. And then we would have these goals for your work. Basically, we would have like well, we don't have exactly the quarters, but let's call them quarters. We have quarter goals, what you as a designer needs to accomplish in this quarter. So every single morning or during the day, I will need to find time working on these goals, on this project, on this particular milestone. And then there is like yearly goals, and I also have to move towards that goal. So we're quite independent. Nobody is like pressing on us like, do this ticket, do this ticket, do this ticket. We're really like independent, and we know what we need to accomplish because we set goals and we slowly moving towards them. And then we get sync, we get kind of feedback from different teams during this process. And of course, then there's a lot of new initiatives that you want to take part in. Sometimes there is branding initiative, sometimes there is internal team initiative, sometimes there is whatever, like let's say, let's build new workshop tools. So you start, depending on how much time you still have and energy, you're working on your goals, you're working on your projects that you have, you're getting feedback on them, you're delivering them, you're making sure everything is right, but you also join different initiatives that fit your, I guess, interest area most of all, and where your expertise could fit in better. So it's kind of different. There's no typical day, depending on the meetings, depending on when do you need to deliver certain things. But there is no stress, which I really love. And it's really like you are being initiator. There's nobody up there who tells you what to do. That's what I really love in the job I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. And I know you came from a freelancing background. So with those people in the chat kind of wondering if they fit a freelancing or industry role, what are some of the biggest differences between freelancing and working at a company as a UX designer?
It's a big topic, honestly speaking. So I've been freelancing. It's hard to say. I think I was like freelancing on and off for about 6 to 8 years. A lot. I don't know. It's hard to say. But so most of my experience is coming from the freelancing background and working with startups and smaller teams. And right now I'm working in a company that has 8,000 like employees. So it's totally different. Working in a team that has 4 people and 8,000 people, it's completely different stories. The first really big factor is the amount of like teamwork and collaboration and energy inside, and the processes that shaped because of the amount of people and different opinions around that. It's the first factor. As the freelancer, my biggest struggles were lack of people. As the full-time employee, my biggest struggle is too many people. So it's like it's actually the opposites in terms of how many people you have to deal with every single day. As a freelancer, of course, you do a lot of different things. You don't just, wake up and design. You have to be your own boss for sure. You have to do a lot of admin stuff that you might not be very excited about until at least you put it on a pipeline and you have your processes settled down. So as a freelancer, it's I would say like it's a thing that makes you grow a lot. It shapes you. It makes you very responsible. It makes you a different person. You start how to do your marketing. You learn how to do sales, how to solve problems, how to resolve conflicts, how to move forward, how to keep motivated, how to stay, sane, how to just do all those different things except of just design. So you learn to be a completely independent business owner. And that helps a lot with shaping this business mindset. And many companies really want you to be like a sort of entrepreneur, because this way you understand, you don't just build beautiful stuff. You know why we need to build certain stuff, where to put your energy, how to prioritize important things. So it's definitely helping you to grow in that thing. But also it's like, I think after some time you figure out that it's not a very sustainable lifestyle to have. As a freelancer, until you grow, it's totally fine and it's cool if you're doing it. But for me, after 5-6 years, I started realizing that it's just not healthy to me. I didn't have enough people. I was like, I needed to either join some team or build my own team, because I had like people I would work with, but they wouldn't be the team officially, with different departments, with different sales, whatever. So I didn't want to build my own team because I already built startups and it's hard, and I know how much admin work goes there, which I didn't want to do anymore. So the other path I had to take was to join the company, either a small business or a bigger business, doesn't matter, but I needed to be a part of something. As a lone person, after some time, you start going nuts. You just need somebody to talk to. You can't just, it's very stressful, basically. So I think like it's a great experiences, and I don't know if somebody maybe can do it for a long time, but I couldn't do it, especially because I'm an extrovert. I couldn't do it any longer, and I started to not grow anymore. It was just the same things going over and over and over again, and it was just not healthy. So main difference is basically people, having more people, learning more processes, adapting in your company, learning how people work, businesses, internal politics. There is different parts of it, of course, but yeah, in a nutshell, it's just really about how many people you're working with. That's it. You still have to think every time, here and there, freelancing or doing the employment job. You still have to do a lot of work. But as a full-time job, you more specialize in something. You still have multidisciplinary projects, but you specialize in something that you're good at, and you cut all the legal stuff, sales stuff, marketing stuff, branding stuff, and stuff like this. You just focus on what really you want to grow at. And I really like that. I can now focus on something that I really want to advance more, but still all those other parts as a freelancer is really great as a learning part.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely think I also freelance for a bit and definitely learn a lot of these lessons you mentioned as well. And yeah, so kind of going back, how did you get started in freelancing?
It was actually the same story as I mentioned already. Because in Estonia, so I moved to have a master degree in Estonia, where every second person would have a startup. Like some people would have 2 startups, 3 startups. They're crazy. Every second person has a startup, honestly. And the network is very startup oriented there. So if you just join one event, one hackathon, one conference, whatever, you start building your network, offline network. And that's very important because if people start seeing you, like you're adding them in your LinkedIn or whatever, Instagram, whatever network you prefer, they see who you are already. You have some chit chat, you understand if I can trust you, what vibe do you have. Then they start following you, or you start following them, and you start occasionally appear in their feed. They remember you. You become top mind. The more frequent and valuable you are, the more top mind you become. You build this trust. So my recommendation was actually to start offline if it's possible in your network. Of course, I know that not every network is possible. Online is also fine, but starting offline is the best because you kind of take this ice. You break this ice, basically. People know who you are if you're trustworthy, and then they start following you and they start trusting you even more, and then they want to work with you, and you become this top mind designer. And also, so like for me, it was offline networking, which I started building in Estonia. Then it was peers to peers networking, word of the mouth, somebody recommends me, blah blah blah. And then Instagram also joined this game where people started seeing me, and if somebody needs a designer, they have this designer in the feed, and they're like, oh, there's this designer, I really want to work with you, let's put you in our project. And different people started just contacting me, basically. So it was like maybe some consultants or marketers or designers from, let's say, graphic designers, or then developers. They were just saying like, hey, are you available for a project? We are looking for your designer. And just because I have this online network right now, it was really helping me to kind of continue this from offline to build it farther to the online. So it's all about networking and trust, and sharing who you are, why people should trust you, what's your process and stuff like that, and becoming a top mind, basically, until somebody remembers you and mentions you in a meeting once. Somebody said, we need a designer. Yeah.
That's awesome. Definitely post one to the Instagram because that's how I got freelance illustration work as well. So really sharing your work and posting your work online. And that leads to our next question is, what led you, like, can you go over like kind of like your story of how you started your Instagram, and how is it
Mhm.
like running such a large Instagram page?
It actually started again like accidentally. After reading this book, I was just looking for a place to start building my library of learnings, not for anybody. I've, again, as I said, like I've tried Tumblr, and Tumblr was just like dying network back then. So I understood that there's no engagement there. You post something and it's just somewhere, nothing happens basically. Um, and then Instagram, it was just, okay, I was using Instagram for personal occasions. Then I said like, okay, well, let's try to do it also for professional stuff. I started building this new page. And again, no expectations. I was not planning to build big something of it, right? At all. I would be blessed if I would have 5,000 followers back then. It was like, wow. So it was not really like something intentional that I wanted to grow and become like whatever leader. Doesn't yet really at all not. The only thing I wanted to do was just like every day share what I've learned today, and try to also, I wanted to work on my writing skills, because when I finished my master's degree in Estonia, everybody was saying to me, my writing skill is the worst. It's horrible. You need to start learning writing. It's so bad as you're writing. I was like, okay, my writing skills are so bad. I need to work on them. And I just wanted to, every single day, baby steps, one thing at a time, start building my storytelling skills, and also improve my English, I guess, and also all of the different things. Like, just wanted to share something as I learned it, being more transparent, that people could see and reach me out as well, and give me feedback if possible, and also just like build these writing skills, storytelling skills. So again, it started just because I needed to share my learnings somewhere. And also back then, it was in 2016, and before that I was traveling a lot. I was like a hitchhiker and blah blah blah. I was living in couch surfings, and I was traveling the world. And then I stopped because I've met my husband. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on my career now. I'm gonna close myself in a room, and I'm gonna just work. But suddenly it became too calm. There's no one I could talk to. Suddenly I realized there's no people, no community, nobody that I can share my thoughts with. And basically Instagram was like the only place I could come up with. So after this book, after understanding I want to share what I learned, after being alone basically in the room, Instagram was like a channel which would open the doors for me to communicate to like-minded people. And in the beginning, it was really, I think I mentioned to you already before we jump on this like conference call, but it was really like the first 2 years, it was really like no engagement at all. It was like maybe, I don't know, I had like 1,000 people, maybe 2,000 people. It was just very small group of people who would be in the same kind of niche with me. And Instagram, at least UX Instagram, was not big. Only in 2018, 19, it started growing, and 19 was like a really big year where, community joined Instagram and everybody started following each other, and different great accounts started being really active. And then it's just like, boom, it's like a wave that was kind of dropped on you. But in the beginning, it was just really learning. And then only last year, it turned big. And I'm still kind of learning, figuring it out, because to me, it's like I would say the hobby project. It's like small. It's not something that is like, like you don't make money out of it, right? You still do it because you want to learn, you want to share, you build this relationship, you want to support this relationship. So it's more really like a hobby project, and I'm trying to find time for it, and it's getting harder and harder and harder. I think at some point you really need to hire people because you have a lot of ideas you want to share, but you don't have time to share it and create those content bits, and but yeah, I'm trying to manage it. I don't know, I do like 2 posts a week. It's hard, but it's still something that I really love, because again, it's like this small baby that made you connected to so many people, and the value of it, and you keep learning, you keep sharing your lessons, and it gives you immense amount of growth. So yeah, that's where we are at.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm inspired to start sharing more of my learnings on Instagram as
Hmm.
well. Yeah, Instagram. So like it's like really cool. There's a huge like UX community on there. Also a huge art
Yes.
community and stuff.
It's crazy now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's even
Yeah.
getting down, I guess, already because last year was poof, and I was like, slower, 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 but still.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So we have 13 minutes left. So I'm gonna go to some of our questions.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna skip over some of the questions on the doc. So I think a common question people always kind of ask of us imposter syndrome. So have you ever felt imposter syndrome with your work? If so, how did you manage to overcome that?
Imposter, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I think I've already covered it partly, right? When I said, like, I think I have two stages of imposter. The first stage when I braked, maybe, I don't know, fight maybe 30% of it, it was having the internship. I had a very hard internship because, again, this company was really great. And I was very intentional I wanted to work with them. I knew they're the best. It was very hard to get there. I have, I don't know, 5 levels of interviews, even just to get a free internship. So it was hard. And then I started working, and I was still a student. I didn't have income, and I was working, doing my startup, and as a student. So it was hard to keep it up. And the guys were super professional. So for me, I think it was like a very, very intensive experience having an internship in a very good company. Having the feedback from those people and understanding that I'm not really good enough yet, but they are so nice and supportive. And I was like surrounded by those people who are very senior, who would give me they would give me not just like, sorry, bullshit tips, but they would tell me what to do better. They would be very strict, like very direct and very helpful to understand or direct my efforts towards. So that was like a first, I guess, breakthrough. After I finished this internship, I still felt that imposter syndrome. I still felt like, oh my God, I was working with such great people, and oh my God, I still need to learn so much. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So I have this feeling that I'm not good enough yet, but after finishing it, I knew so many things. So when I closed the chapter, I was like, wow, that was intense. It was like definitely much more than a simple bootcamp or something. It's like really intense. And I knew what I'm worth now. And I knew that in a very short amount of time, I've learned things that I wouldn't learn in the university or anywhere else. So that was the first thing that helped me to build this confidence. The second thing, as I've mentioned already, was teaching. And again, still starting with like this, who am I even? Why would somebody listen to me? Yeah, like it was hard. But it's like consistent learning. You know that tomorrow you have a lecture, it's 3 hours long, you have 2 days to prepare, start now. And every day you have to read really intense amount of information, process it, build slides, present it, practice, then get feedback, then understand. When you present something to somebody, you start understanding that some of the parts in your stories fall apart, like you have gaps. And then when you start talking about it, you start really understanding if things make sense or if they don't make sense, and you have to come back and still try to re-understand it better for yourself. So after that intense teaching experience, it was like 4 months, and every second day I had like 3-hour lecture. After that, like I think it was like from February till May. When I finished it, I was like, whoa, now I feel like super empowered. I know a lot of things, and I know how the process is working. I know, like I was really going through a crazy amount of information from my head. So that helped me a lot to understand how to apply this in my practice. And after like teaching this for the first time, I was super like itchy. I wanted to start practicing it. And then of course there was a lot of work towards, practicing it in different projects, startups, freelance stuff. So the first step after internship was teaching, sorting it all down in my head, building this confidence that now I can do it, and having my hands really like itchy to start practicing it. And that's when I finally I feel like I started being more professional, and that I could charge more, and I knew that I could bring more value to the clients or businesses I'm working with, etc. Those two main components, I would say, for me personally.
Awesome. Yeah, you mentioned having a strong support system, which leads into our next question. Do you have any tips of finding a UX mentor? Is there like
Mhm.
certain traits you would look for or anything else?
think it's really about finding the role model for yourself, understanding who is your hero, whatever, like what attributes, like again, every time you look for mentor or hero or whatever, somebody like role model online or even in your offline circles, it's about understanding who you are and who you like to become, who you would like to become, because we are attracted to the people we want to be, right? They already have some certain skills that you feel like you can obtain. You can obtain this confidence, or you can obtain this eloquence, or you can obtain this very deep thinking, or maybe analytical skills. You really understand what kind of people you are attracted to and who you want to become. So finding those people who you think like they are really good at what you want to be is the first step. And then of course it's about start building these like relationship with them. It's not just like out of blue you start talking to them and they are like, yeah, I was waiting for you, where have you been, let's try to work together. It takes time, because of course those people will probably be busy, they have projects, they have other things, they might already run online courses, they have already students they work with, possibly, I don't know, it's just an assumption. But it could be hard to just even introduce yourself to them. But you can, again, if they have social media, it's kind of like an easy entry. You can just, sometimes reply to them, sometimes share. Be careful, because you don't want to share like this amount of, life story of yours. Be short, be supportive, I don't know, send jokes, start casually talking to them, break the ice slowly. And then once they start remembering your whatever name and picture, they start, oh, I remember this person. Oh, yeah, yeah. And then you sometimes even jump into conversations. And then they sometimes, just discuss normal things and projects and life. And then slowly this person start understanding who you are and trusting you and prioritizing your messages in their DM, in social media, anywhere. Or again, you can also get introduced by somebody else. So like breaking the ice is the first step. And no, first step is understanding who is your role model. Secondly, breaking the ice. Don't be too pushy. Don't be too salesy. Don't try to run on them and like, hey, I want to start like work with you or whatever. Give me a project, or like, can I work with you? Don't be super like, I guess, jumping on this person. Build a relationship with them slowly, slowly, slowly. At some point, you can start saying like, hey, I'm looking for, like, again, if people trust you already, they will be more open and more willing to like accommodate their time to maybe, start working together, maybe 1 hour a week or a month or whatever is the first step. So lower the fence by maybe first ask like, can we jump on a 15-minute call? It's really quick. I'm just, and you're a perfect person. It's gonna be easy for you, just like a quick thing. And finding the, like, first, again, breaking the ice, then lowering the barriers, then building those connections, this trust, until you actually can be really like, not a team, but like if mentor is investing her time in you, they trust you, they want to work with you, they want to see your progress, they're helping you a lot. So another shortcut, again, instead of just like, you can do this part, instead of that, you can of course take a harder part in the beginning, but also a faster part is, go to the internship to the company they are working at and try to work with them in the same project and try to be in the same room and try to learn from them and stuff like that, which is another part you can take for sure. Or you can even just go online, Google a first mentorship program, mentorship sort of platform with different mentors, find somebody, maybe check out them on the internet and social media, see if they are trustworthy, if you like them, if you like their process and expression style, and then try to just, book a time with them. So there are different passes to get there, but I guess my main concern, main tip to you is just don't be pushy. Don't be like, hey, can you be a mentor? Teach me, especially if it's like, hey, I have this huge project, help me now. This is the thing that just immediately turns off like this mentor from you, and most likely he will not reply to you anymore. So be careful, be more strategic, but be nice for sure.
+1 on that. I get so scared. People send like their life story to me on their first message.
Yes.
So definitely, I can very relate to that as well.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and also we have a collaboration with Amazing Design People List with Design
Yeah.
Buddies. So you can find mentors there as well. So we have 3 minutes left. So we'll have one more question and
Mhm.
then we'll have a group photo afterwards. So make sure to stay
Yay.
on. And with the concept of mentorship, I think something that I see a lot of beginners struggle with when searching for a mentor is what kind of skills would you work through with your mentor? Would you kind of work through like career questions, portfolio reviews, mix of both, job search strategies, and how would you kind of approach that mentorship relationship?
Yeah. So in my personal case, it's a little bit different because I have like my online course, and this is when it all starts from. For me, it's instead of, like, again, because processes could be very different, and you could have absolutely unique and personal experience entering the field. So for me, when I start talking to you, I didn't know where you come from. What do you know? It's very hard. It could take time for us to just like build an understanding on where you are in your career, have a lot of those discussions. And it could be also costly for you to just have those discussions of who you are, what you do, what did you did, what do you know? So instead of having this, like, I guess, long conversations, like ice breaking, getting to know each other, acquaintances, I usually just mainly work with my students, basically. So they take my course. Now I know what they know because we are now on the same page. I've shared in my course everything. I know what my practices are, my templates, whatever, my strategies, etc., etc. So they take my course. It's much easier for me to work with them because we're aligned. We're on the same page. We can start working more effectively. If they have questions, I can even refer to them. Go here, go there, take it there. It's like more smooth and more strong partnership and collaboration, more effective at least. So in my particular case, I'm particularly working with the students who graduated from my course. I'm taking usually like right now working in like teamwork. So we have 6 students per one batch, mentoring group batch. Everybody has its own project. They are building it for their portfolio. I'm just helping them to progress. We meet every Sunday and we just discuss their progress for the project. But there are also people who just, want to have one-on-one conversations with me, and they have particular struggles in their like in their journey. So let's say I can't find the client, or I have this issue with my client, and I'm just helping them to overcome those issues. But those conversations are more occasionally, and I know those people, I trust them, and I want to help them, and I know their style. So it's really like farther step when I already have the relationship with those people, and it's easier for me to communicate and help them, instead of just trying to figure out who you are, what your background is, what's the problem there. As long as I have a relationship and I can spend 1 hour mentoring call more effectively, that could just be more beneficial for both this person and me, as I know that I can really help them. So it's like it's a different story, I guess, but yeah. Oh, we lost
Oh,
your
I know. Oh yeah,
yes.
I actually was muting myself. So we're at time. So we're gonna take a group photo. So I'll
Yeah.
wait a few moments for everyone to turn on their camera. And if you
Yay.
don't want to be in the photo, that's fine. Just leave your camera off, and we'll be sharing this on all of our social media as well. So make sure to
Yeah.
follow us, Design Buddies, and follow Anfisa on social media. Check out her course. And feel free
By
to,
the way, I wanted
yeah,
to
yeah, go ahead.
add one last point. I actually have, like, only for this community, I just wanted to say that I did today the 30% off discount. So if you want to take it,
Oh,
feel
okay.
free. It's actually 30%. I usually don't do this. So yeah, I just sent it to you in the chat right now. It's 30% off until the end of September, and it's just going to be Design Buddies. If you want, just remember the code and you can use it if you want. Okay,
Yeah,
that's it.
we also send an email to everyone who signed
Yay.
up for the event as well with the discount code and all the links as well. So yeah, we have multiple pages, so keep
Oh,
smiling until
wow.
I say we're done, because we have 90 people now. So we're gonna be multiple pages. So feel free to make any pose you want. It will be on our social media, also on our weekly announcements where we paint at all 7,000 people tomorrow, or on Monday we do our announcements. So yeah, keep smiling. I'm gonna go take photos until I say we're done, because you have multiple pages. Ready, set, go. I got my screenshot. Awesome. Cool. I got it, everyone. So I will be sharing this in Design Buddies as well. Make sure you join and check out Anfisa's course on her social media. Thank you all for coming, and feel free to join Design Buddies to continue discussion if you wish.